A political warning has just cut straight through the noise, and it's not just another headline. It's a signal of a deeper power struggle unfolding in real time. When Julius Malema openly tells Nhlahla Mkhwanazi that the economic freedom fighters will not be dragged into police disputes, it raises a bigger question about control, authority, and influence. What you're about to hear goes beyond politics. It touches the very balance between leadership and law enforcement. So stay locked in, subscribe, and watch closely because the deeper layers of this story may completely change how you see power itself. If a political leader boldly declares they are not afraid of the police, what does that really mean for a country already navigating complex tensions between governance and accountability? Think about the ripple effect. Supporters may feel empowered, while institutions could feel challenged in ways that go far beyond a single statement. This moment forces a quiet but important reflection on where confidence ends and confrontation begins, and whether such declarations strengthen democracy or quietly stretch its limits. The words landed with weight, not because they were loud, but because they were precise and deliberate. Malema didn't just respond, he drew a line. And in doing so, he made it clear that the EFF refuses to be positioned as a participant in internal police conflicts. This isn't new territory for him. His political style has always thrived on bold, unapologetic messaging that cuts through formal language and speaks directly to the public. But this time, the stakes feel different, because the response wasn't aimed at a distant institution. It was directed at a specific figure with authority and influence. Understanding that figure changes everything. Mkhwanazi is not just another official. He represents a structure designed to enforce order, maintain discipline, and project stability. His role carries weight, and any public pushback against him naturally draws attention. When two strong forces like this meet in the public space, the tension is almost inevitable. It's not just about disagreement. It's about perception, about who holds the upper hand in shaping the narrative that people believe. Zoom out slightly, and the involvement of the EFF adds another layer entirely. The party has built its identity on challenging systems, questioning authority, and positioning itself as a voice that refuses to be silenced. So when it is mentioned in the context of police disputes, even indirectly, the response becomes more than defensive. It becomes strategic. The message is clear. The party will define its own battles, not inherit conflicts it did not start. Now consider the broader dynamic at play. Political power and police authority are meant to operate in balance, each respecting the boundaries of the other while working toward a common goal of stability. But moments like this expose how fragile that balance can be. When statements become public and positions harden, what should be coordination can quickly start to feel like competition, and that shift can influence how institutions function behind the scenes. This isn't the first time Malema has stepped into confrontation with authority, and history shows that such moments often leave lasting impressions. Each clash adds to a narrative, building a reputation that supporters admire and critics question. Over time, these moments shape not just the individual, but the expectations people attach to them. And that's where the real influence lies, not just in what is said, but in how often it is repeated and how strongly it resonates. There's also a deeper message hidden inside the phrase, "We are not scared." It's short, direct, and powerful, but its impact depends entirely on who is listening. For some, it signals courage and resistance. For others, it raises concerns about respect for institutions. That dual interpretation is what gives the statement its strength. It speaks differently to different audiences, creating both unity and division at the same time. Stay with this all the way through. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because the next layers reveal how quickly words can turn into consequences. Public reaction, as expected, splits in multiple directions. Some see a leader standing firm, refusing to be intimidated or drawn into unnecessary battles. Others see a risky escalation, one that could encourage a culture where authority is openly challenged without restraint. And in between those extremes lies a large group of observers, simply trying to make sense of what it all means for the future. These mixed reactions are not just noise. They are indicators of how society processes moments of tension. One question begins to rise above the rest. Could statements like this slowly erode the authority of institutions designed to maintain order? It's not an immediate effect, and it doesn't happen overnight, but repeated challenges can shape perception. And perception, over time, becomes reality in the minds of the public. That's where influence quietly shifts, not through force, but through belief. At the same time, the legal framework remains an important anchor. There are boundaries that define what can and cannot be said or done, even in moments of heated exchange. But the space between legality and perception is where most of the real impact happens. A statement can be entirely lawful and still carry consequences that extend far beyond the courtroom. Behind the scenes, there are often layers the public never fully sees. Conversations, interpretations, and strategic decisions unfold quietly, shaping what comes next. What appears as a single statement on the surface may actually be part of a much larger and more complex interaction. That unseen dimension is where outcomes are often decided long before they become visible. The risk, however, is that strong words can create a momentum of their own. Once a narrative takes hold, it can be difficult to redirect. Supporters amplify it, critics respond to it, and before long, the situation evolves into something larger than the original message. That's how simple statements sometimes become defining moments. Leadership styles also play a crucial role here. Malema's approach is bold, direct, and often confrontational, designed to command attention and spark reaction. Mkhwanazi's role, on the other hand, is rooted in structure, discipline, and authority. When these two styles intersect, the contrast becomes impossible to ignore, and that contrast fuels the tension even further. Younger audiences, especially, tend to connect strongly with messages that challenge authority. There's a sense of empowerment in hearing someone speak without hesitation or fear. But that connection also raises questions about how such messages are interpreted and applied in real life. Influence doesn't stop at words. It extends into behavior, attitudes, and expectations. Media coverage adds another layer of intensity. Headlines highlight the most striking phrases, clips focus on the most dramatic moments, and repetition ensures the message reaches as many people as possible. In that process, nuance can sometimes fade, leaving behind only the most powerful, and sometimes most polarizing, elements. At this point, it becomes worth asking whether this was a calculated move or an emotional response. Political communication is rarely accidental, and even the most spontaneous statements often carry an underlying strategy. Whether intentional or not, the impact remains the same. Attention is captured and the conversation shifts. Globally, similar moments have played out in different forms with varying outcomes. Some have led to reforms, others to deeper divisions, and a few have simply faded away. The difference often lies in how the situation is managed after the initial spark. That's where leadership